I'm joined by the Chinese ambassador to Burma, Yang Houlan. Ambassador, thank you for speaking with us today.
Thank you, my pleasure.
The US and Britain are enhancing military ties with Burma, but to what extent does this worry China? Will China be aiming to form closer military relations with Burma?
China and Myanmar military-to-military cooperation exchanges take a long time, and we have enough confidence in this regard. And we don't oppose any cooperation of Myanmar military with other countries. And if this kind of cooperation not destroy the interest of China, it's okay, no problem.
Assuming that the NLD wins the next general election, what changes would you expect to see?
We wish that the current transition will be smoothly promoted, because especially political stability is important for the economic and social development. We hope everything will be okay, especially there will be more foreign investment come to Myanmar and promote Myanmar's economic and social development. And I think the government or the new government will put more importance on the economic and social development, especially agricultural, industrials, and other sections. And Myanmar enjoys very rich resources. They have very big potential for the further development. That's why the foreign think tanks are very optimistic about Myanmar's future development. We are also.
Let's move on to Chinese investment. China's a lot of major investment in Burma already, with the Shui gas pipeline, Myitsone, Lap Padang. But how important are these big investment projects for China, and why?
We try to push ahead in this kind of cooperation. That's because on the basis of win-win cooperation. That's our the basic ideas about that. So I think Myanmar now just begin the reform and opening up. That's more than 30 years ago in China. The similar things happened. And also China, the history need to be the similar with Myanmar. And only China's opening up and the reforms a little bit earlier than Myanmar. So we can share our experience and the lessons with Myanmar. And I think Myanmar get into a quick development period. They will provide more opportunities for the cooperation between Myanmar and China.
Could you be maybe a bit more specific about whether the local people will benefit around these investment areas?
We hope the neighboring countries can benefit from China's quick development. So that's why Chinese government encourage more Chinese qualified Chinese company to invest in the ASEAN countries, including Myanmar. And especially we encourage Chinese companies to take more input on the social affairs and benefit local people. And we, Chinese Embassy, also do a lot in this regard. We have some interactions with Chinese companies in Myanmar.
The controversial Myitsone Dam in Kachin State was suspended after public opposition. But could you tell us your thoughts on how this project will proceed, and how do you envision Myitsone to be restarted and implemented?
Myanmar wants to develop industry and of course agriculture and others. But especially if we want to develop the industries, you need enough power.
Sure.
So that's a basis for the industrialization. So that's why Chinese companies are interested in the investment in the hydropower section. But the feasibility study, I think, not enough. And also some international forces, and they have a different idea about that. There are some worries for the dam building, and also is also involved in some cultural issues. So this project stopped. But if Myanmar people or Myanmar government want to start these projects, both sides can solve the problem through the negotiations. And I think
China would be open to renegotiations.
We are waiting for that.
Yes. The former embassy spokesperson said China needed more outreach programs to local communities and the media. How do you plan to go about this, and can you give some examples of what projects that you'll be rolling out?
Yeah, and we try to change our former models, doing more and speaking less. So we try to doing more and speak more, and make more communications with local people and the different sections of society. And we should do something to communicate with them and make them understandable for the projects. And that's why, if without local people support, that's very difficult for them to proceed the process of the projects. So that's why we try a lot from embassy, asking them to do more in this regard.
Does the embassy have a role in directing Chinese companies towards responsible investment? Can you give some specific examples?
You know, this kind of commercial projects, we cannot involved so much, but we can ask them to do this and do that. That's our responsibility. We also like to give some advice for them, what they should do and what they should not do. So in this regard, it's our responsibility to do more in this regard, I think. And I think a Chinese company will get more experience in this regard and push this kind of projects more smoothly.
We've spoken about the 3 big investment projects. All of them have raised land right issues. Can you talk a bit about how this issue will be addressed?
According to our expectation, these kind of issues should be solved by the cooperation of local people, local government, central government, and the Chinese company. But now, this kind of things, the investors take all the responsibility of that, actually, I think. So it's very difficult. And we hope that we have a more closer cooperation with the government, including local government and the central government, and make people understand why we want to start in these projects.
Chinese investment in Burma has sharply declined since President Thein Sein's government came to power. How do Chinese experiences at Myitsone and Lappadang, how have these scared off the Chinese investors?
You know, because you just talked about the Myitsone hydropower station. After stopped, I think they gave some Chinese investors some worries about that. So there is some negative impact on the investment from China. And also some Western companies also worried about that, because we need a very friendly atmosphere for foreign investment. Anyway, I think Myanmar government has put more importance in this regard. They try to improve the social atmosphere and the legal atmosphere for the foreign investment, because according to China's experience, at development period, foreign investment is very important.
And do you see Chinese investment starting to rise as we see other nations coming into the country?
If the atmosphere or if the environment improved, I think there will be more investment here. Anyway, we can see the investment a little bit down. That's because before there's a very big projects, but in the past 1 year, it's many small projects already started. Not so small, but the investment is not so big. And China is still the #1 foreign investor in resources, foreign investments and resources.
You recently said that China would play a more active role in creating a more peaceful regional environment. Given your involvement in Burma's peace process, where you played mediator to talks between the Kachin Independence Organization and government peace negotiators, can you explain a little bit more about how you would take on this active role and what this will entail?
China, as a coordinator, they joined the two sides together in Yunnan. At the first round of talks, it's very positive, and then this process is still going on. And China would like to play some positive role according to Myanmar government's winnings. If they want China to do something, China will try its best. And but Myanmar side has told me that even they have a long confrontation, but they are still the brothers, because they are Myanmar people. They are still brothers. They are confident they can solve the issues themselves according to communications and the talks. Because without communications, the confidence cannot be built. And China will play an active role according to Myanmar side's idea. So we are optimistic that this peace process will be continued.
Ambassador Yang, thank you very much for speaking to me today. Thank you.
My pleasure.